This is Manisha. I head coaching for Shenomics, and I have with me two very special members of the Shenomics family. I have Kanksshi Agarwal and Shivangi Lahoti. And both Kanksshi and Shivangi are Lead Like a Girl fellows from the batch of 2019. And today we're going to have a conversation about how their experience has been. But before we begin, a little background about Shenomics and the Lead Like a Girl family. We developed a platform for about leaders. We to mid to senior level, we provide that same support early on. In in the journey of young women like yourselves, Kanksshi and Shivangi, greater impact. Um, so that's how Lead Like a Girl came about. And we created a 6-month program with, training, mentorship, coaching, peer support, and also an opportunity to implement what one learns during the process through impact projects. And this is going to be our third batch of 2020. And this year we are expanding our batch size to 40. So we're going to have a larger cohort. And like every year, we always look for diversity because that is enriching. And you both have experienced that because you have very different backgrounds. So without further ado, I would love for you both to introduce yourselves. Kanksshi, introduce yourself.
Hi, and thank you so much, Manisha, for organizing this. And I'm ever so grateful to Shivangi also to join me in this conversation. I am Kanksshi Agarwal, and I was a Lead Like a Girl coaching fellow last year with Shenomics. Currently, I am a policy researcher who works I work at the intersection of technology, politics, and society. I also run an initiative which I can talk about later in the conversation because it is very, very focal to how I started my journey and how Shenomics has also been very, very helpful in shaping that for me. So, yeah, thank you.
Shivangi, you want to go next?
Awesome, absolutely. First of all, thank you so much, Manisha, for having the two of us here. It feels wonderful to be a part of the Shenomics family in general. And hi, everyone. My name is Shivangi Lahuti. I am a fashion designer and a fashion YouTuber based out of Bombay and Ahmedabad. I come from a very, very, very different field altogether if you compare Kanksshi and me. And that's where you'll see the diversity that Manisha was talking about, because everybody at Shenomics can be a part of the fellowship and can become a fellow if they just have the drive to do something unique and contribute to the society in general. I run a fashion label by the name Inaya & Co. and also run an educational fashion YouTube channel where I educate about 40,000 kids on making a career in the fashion industry. So that's a bit about me. Over to you, Manisha.
So thank you first for introducing yourselves. Would love to know a little bit more about how you got interested in Lead Like a Girl last year. What were the prompts? Kanksshi, you could begin. How did you get to know about it? What were you doing when you applied for the fellowship?
Yeah, sure. So actually, so I will start from the point where I got interested in the whole mentoring and coaching as a technique in itself, because I come from a field which is politics and policy. Usually in politics, people look for godfathers and all these people who make you and break you. But I also understand, like I started my journey back in 2013 when I co-founded a small entity called ISIC in Bhopal, and it was just a small chapter of a world's largest youth run organization. But ever since, I have always, at every step along the way, I've craved mentorship and coaching and training, because I think I can never discount the importance of it. When I stumbled upon Shenomics Lead Like a Girl Fellowship, I think it was through social media. Somebody, put up a post about it, and I get very interested in new ventures. Actually, that's just me, because as you said that it was like kind of the second batch only, and I got super interested in finding a coach for myself, or finding a trainer who can help me align my professional goals with my personal my personality as as a person. um, and that's how I got interested. That's how I made the application. I wouldn't say that there is a lot of shift between what I was doing before and now, like what I'm doing right now. But of course, as I mentioned, like, so also in my introduction, that I'll be talking about one of the initiatives that was very close to my heart, and I was only working on building Netri. Netri is a platform for amplifying women's political participation in India, and I was only starting out back then. So the fellowship and Netri have took place in my life at the same time, and I think I was able to weave Netri the way I was able to weave, because I also had somebody working on me and my personal goals. So that is a little bit about me and how I got the prompt. But I would like to ask Shivangi, because again, how we come from very different backgrounds, but at the same time, I think, as Shivangi mentioned, the drive to do something and be out there is what prompted me. But I would love to know from Shivangi, how did you come to know about this, and what are you doing now? Is it also like something like me, that I was doing something, but I'm like just like it's just an extension of what I was doing before? So please share what you were up to. I would love to know more.
Absolutely. Thanks so much, Kanksshi. That was really, really very insightful. I actually had a phase in my business wherein I felt I had reached a plateau and I did not know going forward how to grow. And right around that time, Rushmeet Kaur, who is the founder of Lean In India chapter, reached out to me, who's a school junior. And I'd been on one of the panels with Lean In, and she just reached out to me saying that, Dee, I think this is, something that's going to interest you. It's the last day. See if it interests you. And I was like, okay, let me just go through it. And I went through the website for the first time. I found it really interesting. The whole mentorship angle is also something that I was craving a lot. Because being an entrepreneur at the age of 22, 23 without a lot of work experience, you are craving somebody. After a point of time, you reach a stage where you hit a plateau. Maybe a lot of people don't. Hi, I'm so sorry. Maybe a lot of people don't end up hitting that plateau, but I did. I reached a stage where I felt like I needed some sort of guidance, and also to kind of align my personal life with my professional life, as you rightly said. And that is where the Shenomics leadership program came into the picture, and I realized that, oh my God, this is what coaching is all about. And honestly, before and after, I think the biggest change for me has been an attitude shift. Problems pehle bhi hoti thi. There used to be problems before as well. It's just, and I'm still dealing with similar problems right now in life. The problems haven't like just gone away, but it's just the shift in attitude that I would completely contribute. I would contribute that entire bit of my journey to my coach, and of course the peer group that I had, which was very, very supportive during that time, which made me realize that just thinking about the problem is not going to help me, but challenging the problem and finding solutions. I am so sorry, the network keeps going, but yeah, finding problem to the solution is what's going to help me in the long run. And I think that's what came out of this entire 6 months of training with Shenomics and being a part of the fellowship program.
Yeah, that's again, as you said, that this attitude shift is like one of the key shifts that you can like really pinpoint to.
Yeah.
Would you also like so for me, one of the other highlights of the fellowship, and as a part of the fellowship, was that we were supposed to have wisdom circles and supposed to have a community. We were not a part of the same wisdom circle, interestingly, and I'm so happy that I'm getting to connect with you like this now. But that also sort of gave the grounding that the fellowship needed, because we were in a virtual space. So there were two things I think, in the beginning. One, that I started out with very, very tangible, plan of action, that this is what I want out of my coaching. And I
Yeah.
think the way coaching was led by my coach, and also by, under the leadership of Manisha and Divya at Shenomics, it completely gave me a different perspective, that you don't have to be very uptight about that these are my tangible things that I want to work in the coaching. Rather, it told me how there are factors working at the surface level, beneath the surface rather, which leads to more focused life approach. So I would also want to know, and this is what I also ended up discussing in my wisdom circle, that sometimes we as young girls just wanted to know that there are other people in our journey who are experiencing similar, as you said, plateau is such a nice word to actually use also. And also mention that, so early in our career, we also feel that, I'm actually feeling that right now. And I'll be very honest that even with, even after having gone through a coaching, but right now, as you said, the attitude is to handle it and not to run away from it. But share more about how you were in your wisdom circle, and what were your key takeaways, if there were, highlights.
Absolutely. Very honestly, Kanksshi, as I said, my journey with entrepreneurship started really early on in life, and entrepreneurship is very lonely. It gets really, really lonely after a point of time, because you're working independently. You don't really have a cohort. You're out of college, and for me, the switch happened when I moved cities and moved from Bombay to Ahmedabad last year. So I think the fellowship for me was like, an escape and a way of interacting with other like-minded women, other women my age, going through similar problems, or very diverse problems actually. In my wisdom circle, I had people who were in corporate jobs, right? For me, that was so new and so novel, because I had never worked in a corporate atmosphere. I did not know what it felt like. I did not get the whole concept of office politics, or maybe deciding on your future goals, preparing for masters. These were such diverse topics for me. And it was just very heartening at the end of the day to know that, okay, I'm not alone with problems. We all know it, that we're not alone. Everybody has problems in their lives, but just the fact that we could help out each other and listen to each other. And I think one of the things that I've always told my coach as well, Nitin sir, is that the most beautiful part of this journey of 6 months is, for the first time in my life, I felt like I found people who were willing to listen to me and really listen. Because a lot of our problems are resolved when we just start opening up and talking, and the other person doesn't come with judgments, but it's a judgment-free space. And I think when we talk about the wisdom circle, that was my key takeaway. And honestly, during the fellowship, we were all very, presentation dekh ke hi react karna hai. We're supposed to do this. This is, these are the things that we're supposed to do in the half an hour that we're talking. It's only after the fellowship ended that we ended up becoming good friends, and we actually started talking about life and boys and food and everything. So I think it's also given me a great platform to find good friends.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So last year, Shivangi and Kanksshi, we, each year we also challenge ourselves to increase our impact. So first year we started a batch with 20 fellows, and then last year we wanted to do 30, but there were logistics were a constraint. So we did 20 in the classroom, and then, 10 in the virtual format, so to speak. Your fellowship was a coaching fellowship where we didn't actually meet. So since now, given the current situation with COVID, we didn't want that to hold up our fellowship. So we've now designed the entire fellowship in a virtual mode. It will still have training, it will have mentoring, it'll have coaching, it'll have the impact project, but all of it is virtual. So what I'm curious to know is that, since you both were a part of the fellowship where we didn't actually meet, you made it to the graduation, Shivangi, and it was wonderful to meet you, but Kanksshi and I have always met virtually. Did not meeting, or did the fact that the fellowship was partly virtual for you all, or in fact, virtual, did that in any way dilute the effectiveness?
Kanksshi, would you like to go first?
After you, if Yeah.
Okay, okay, awesome. So, for me, I did not even get to talk to my mentor once on a video call. All the conversations that we had, and we were supposed to have six, we ended up having a lot more, because by the end of it, we just ended up becoming good friends. In fact, just 2 days back, I gave him a call. We caught up. We were on, a call for 2.5 hours after Kanksshi and I got on a call, and we decided. She told me that she was gonna talk to her mentor. I said, why not like touch base with Nitin sir and check up, on him and how Bangalore's doing. And it turned out to be a 2.5 hour long conversation where he walked for 12 kilometers, sent me a screenshot. You made me walk so much today. So that's the kind of relationship you build. So I think technology today has, the distance doesn't really matter. Being physically present doesn't matter. Especially with COVID right now, I'm conducting classes virtually. I've been conducting classes virtually on YouTube for a while, but I'm actually doing it on Zoom, on WebEx. And I've realized that as long as you're willing to learn, learning will come to you. You just have to be willing to learn. And for me, I don't think the coaching, being virtual or being physically present, I wouldn't know otherwise, because I did not have a mentor who I actually met face to face. But I don't think it had any impact. In fact, it was just so much more easier, because I could be in my pajamas at 8 in the morning when he would say that he wants to get on a call at 8 to 9. I was just so comfortable doing it before breakfast and being like really happy, at the breakfast table, because I've had such a amazing chat with him just before it. So for me, I think it turned out to be pretty decent. The graduation ceremony for sure was very exciting. Seeing all the projects and all the amazing impact projects that these amazing women had was quite something. All the speakers who came in, listening to them talk was very, very inspiring. And just uh, being in a space where, there are like 30, 40 women, it felt so empowering in itself. Just this feeling that I look around in har jagah se forte, I was like, wow, this is the space I want to be in. Go women. So that, to sum it up, I think it was coaching virtually or physically doesn't really matter, so long you're willing to listen and so long you're willing to contribute. Your coach can only do so much. And over to you, Kanksshi. I'd like to hear what your take on this entire virtual coaching was.
I think as you rightly said, virtual spaces with technology have come so alive. Right now we are under a situation where we are forced to do it. But I would say, and I would credit both Shenomics and the thoughtfulness of the coaching program, that they did not limit last year when there was some logistical gaps, or wherever we, like you, both of us could not make it to Bangalore, and could not be enrolled in the full-time fellowship. I am so happy that they were visionaries in the edtech space, right? Education via tech. This is so future, and this is now so present, because if you have to get something delivered, does not matter the means of it. I think the heart needs to be in the right place, as you said. you know
Absolutely.
as long as we are willing to learn, contribute, take away, and be invested. Sometimes I remember, as you said, like you mentioned, that 8 a.m. calls. For me, even 10 a.m. is like a 7 a.m. call. So I will be like, KV, can we just push it by half an hour? Okay. And we had that flexibility, right? And he'll be like, I think I have another call, so why don't I give you 1 hour? Wake yourself up, and we can do it at 11:30 instead. So that flexibility that came with technology, that rapport that we built. Even though, like, I did have a couple of video calls with him, and I remember sitting in restaurants. Sometimes I'm not able to make it back home, between, like, from the office to home, and I know that I have this call. I would just, like, go in a restaurant, find good internet, and sit there and keep sipping my coffee and keep talking to him. So I think this is the kind of relationship we have built. And as you also got in touch with him 2 days ago. I spoke to him as well, and it was just like, "How are you? I am so sorry that we have not been, talking during the COVID time." And he's like, "No, no, I hope you're doing fine. Go ahead, do your live, and then let's touch base again." So right. So I think that encouragement, even for the smallest things, it doesn't matter. Even Manisha, that I've never met you in person, you've been a part of like this journey for last 1 year. So yeah, you were visionary with doing a virtual,
Absolutely.
a coaching fellowship, and now it's going to be virtual, which doesn't make a lot of a difference. Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. What I also feel is that, with the changing landscape, I think one way to look at it is that it's an advantage for all of us to get used to this new normal of working virtually with each other. So I'm really excited to see what diversity we bring in this time. And a batch of 40 means more diversity. So, just a call out to all wonderful young girls like yourselves. 22nd May is the last date for
Absolutely.
applications. So yeah, apply, and then yes, curious to see what comes up, and we'll keep everyone posted. Thank you, Shivangi. Thank you, Kanksshi,
Thank you so much.
for
Thank
the
you.
wonderful conversation.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Manisha, for having us. I'd just like to add one last thing to any and every girl who's watching this right now. This journey is going to be a life-changing journey for you if only you decide to take that first step. So go ahead and sign up. You have literally nothing to lose. Everything that they're offering you right now is out of the goodness of their hearts and their belief and their faith in women turning out to be leaders. So go ahead, take that plunge. You have only to gain. There's nothing to lose here, only and only to gain. The cohort that you gain, the coaches that you gain, the friends that you gain, that I've gained in Manisha and Divya, it's only going to go uphill for you. So go ahead and just enroll yourself.
I can only second Shivangi here and be like, hear this call very seriously. That lead like a girl is such a brave, call out to all the women out there, all the girls out there, and this reinstilling the fact that you have to lead like a girl. You don't have to be the men of tomorrow. You have to just fill your own shoes, and as long as you're doing that, as long as you're willing to commit and put your foot down that I am going to lead the way I'm supposed to lead like a girl, I think you have your way ahead. And thank you so much, Manisha, again for hosting us and giving us the opportunity last year to be a part of this wonderful cohort and this wonderful fellowship. Yeah.
Absolute
Absolutely.
pleasure. And of course, we're going to be in touch. So thank you for your time. And it was, yeah, wonderful last 20 minutes that we spent together. So
Thank you so much.
thank you.
Thanks, Manisha. Thanks,
Bye.
Bye
Kanksshi.
bye.
Bye.
Bye.